Hello and welcome back. Today we're going to be taking a look at the new arrange, act, assert syntax that's part of RhinoMocks 3.5. This is the new major feature that's come with RhinoMocks 3.5. It's not the only feature, it's just probably the major feature. Some of the other features that have come with it is the ability to use lambda syntax and some better mocking semantics. The arrange, act, assert syntax is a classic way to set up your test where you will essentially arrange all your expectations. You will then act upon those expectations, calling methods and whatnot. You will then assert that your expectations are met. This syntax removes the need to use the record replay model, and it will actually reduce the number of lines of code in your test as well as reduce the noise within your test. Now keep in mind that if you have all your tests that are currently using the record replay semantics, you don't have to run out and refactor those right away because it will work just fine. So right here on the screen I have the wiki for the RhinoMocks 3.5 syntax. I will go ahead and create a link to this in our episode details. I just thought I'd show you this as an example of what is out there for you to know. Let's go ahead and get started. The first thing I want to do for this demo is I'm going to create a class called my. Let's change this to public real quick. My mockable class, and I'm going to create a public virtual method that takes a string. Or returns a string, I'm sorry, not takes a string. It'll simply return something called my value. Now I'm using a concrete object here with the virtual slapped onto the method for simplicity's sake within this demo. You can obviously use a class that implements an interface and then mocked via the interface as well. First thing I want to do is I'm going to create a test that will actually show you the syntax with RhinoMocks 3.5 using the record replay to show that A, it still works, and B, some of the little wrinkles that they've thrown in with the latest release. So the first thing we need to do when we want to use the record replay semantics is actually create an instance of mock repository. I'm going to go ahead and create an instance of my mock class. And now in order to use the record replay semantics, I like to use the using block where I do mock repository, record, and I'll go ahead and set up my mock repository playback just to get those out of the way. Now in order to set up my expectation, that's changed a little bit with RhinoMocks 3.5. I no longer need to use the expect syntax. I can if I want, but you don't have to. With the inclusion of extension methods, we've made it, IND has made it very easy. So I just do mock, I can do expect. Now this syntax is where the lambda usage of Rhino comes into play. Really nice clean syntax, no longer need to use a delegate for a void method or anything like that. You just go ahead and use lambda. And now to set my expectation, and I'm going to do assert that method is equal to foo. Now I'll put a breakpoint right here and I should run this and I should be able to see that the return value is actually foo, not my value. And sure enough it is. So this just goes to show that the standard record replay semantics is still doable within Rhino, but you don't have to. Let's go ahead and show you how to do it with the arrange assert syntax. Now one thing you'll notice right away is I'm not going to actually create an instance of my mock repository. Instead I'm going to use a helper method called generate mock. Now I've just saved myself at least one line of code. Now to set up my expectation on this mock class, I'm going to do the exact same thing as above. Now if I put my breakpoint here, run my test. Again, my method value should be foo, and it is. Now that's actually pretty cool because I've actually reduced the number of lines of code in my test. In this one test, I have 4 lines of code. Now if I come up to the record replay, I've got what, 4, that's 5, 9, 11 lines of code. So I've reduced my code almost, more than twice. That's not always going to be the case, but I'll definitely reduce it by 4 or 5 lines, as well as the noise within the test by using the arrange act assert syntax. One thing to keep in mind with the arrange act assert syntax is you do not need to create an instance of your mock repository like we did above. And in order to assert that all the expectations were met with the arrange act, I can simply do mock repository mock class.verify all expectations. And I can do that on each of my different mock classes to ensure that all the expectations had been met. Now if I do want to create an instance of the mock repository, I can still do that if I want. It just adds a little bit more code and kind of gives you in between a record replay and the arrange act assert. So I hope you learned something today, and until next time.